Hello friends, today we will study very basic and very important concept of loops in TypeScript. When you are writing a code, you may encounter situations when a block of code needs to be executed several number of times. In general, statements in loop are executed sequentially. The first statement in the body of a loop is executed first, followed by the second, and so on. Basically, loops are used to execute a set of statements repeatedly until and unless a particular condition is satisfied. So let's see types of loops. There are three types of loops. First one is while loop, and the second one is uh, do while loop, and the third one is for loop. So we will study all these loops one by one. Uh, First of all, we will take example of a while loop. Basically, syntax of a while loop is first of all you write a keyword while, then you put a condition within the braces or expression within the braces, and then we have a body of the while loop, and in the body of the while loop you must have increment or decrement of the value so that at some point you can go out of body of the while loop. So let's take a example of a while loop. First of all, we take a variable named as I, and its data type is number and initial value is 1. So in a while loop condition, we put if I is less than 6. Uh, then what to do? Then print value of I, and after value of I, increment value of I with 1. Okay, so this is a basic while loop. So let's see how it executes. So in while loop, condition is evaluated first. First, this condition will be evaluated. If this condition returns true, then statements inside while loop will be executed. There may be multiple statements that you want to execute when condition is true. When condition returns false, let's assume this condition returns false. Then control comes out of loop and jumps to next statement after the loop. Then your control will come here. If this condition is false, then our code flow will jump to this statement and will not execute statements within the while loop body. The important point to note when using while loop is that we need to use increment or decrement statements inside while loop so that the loop variable gets changed on each iteration. That's why we are using increment here, and once this statement is incrementing 1, at some point this condition will becomes false, and this way we can end the execution of while loop. Otherwise the loop would execute indefinitely. So let's compile our code and let's see the output. Clear your console and run your node app.js command. So here you can see it prints 1 2 3 4 5 because our loop is a loop condition is less than 6. So I initial value is 1. So at first iteration it prints 1 and increment value of I by 1. At second iteration value of I is 2. 2 is less than 6, so it prints value of I until and unless this condition becomes false, and after when this condition becomes false it prints after while loop statement. The second loop we are studying over here is do while loop. The second one is do while loop. In do while loop, actually this loop is similar to while loop. However, there is a difference between them. In while loop, condition is evaluated before the execution of the loop body. But in do while loop, condition is evaluated after the execution of loop body. So the syntax of do while loop is, here we have do, then body of do, and then we have a while condition over here. So this part will come over here, and that's it. This is our do while loop. So let's see how it works. The first statement inside loop body executed, and this statement is I. It will print a value of I which is 1, and then condition is gets evaluated. If condition returns true, if this condition returns true, then control transfer to the body of do while loop. Otherwise, if this condition is false, the next statement after this do while loop will be executed, and that statement is after while loop. So in this case, first statement always once this code will be executed, because we are checking or evaluating the condition after execution of body of do loop. So let's clear our terminal and compile our code and then run our code to check the output. So the output is same as we see for while loop. So the third loop we are studying over here is for loop. So the third one is for loop. Basically, for loop is used to iterate a part of the program several times, and it can be used to iterate over a fixed set of values, such as you have an array or you have a list of items. If the number of iterations are fixed, it is recommended to use for loop instead of do while loop or while loop. The syntax of for loop is like this. First of all, you type for variable, then opening and closing parenthesis, then you have initial count, then semicolon, and then you have termination condition. Sorry, initial count, then termination condition, and then again semicolon, and then increment or decrement, and then body of the for loop. Okay, so let's take an example. We have initial count here is 1, so take I as initial count, and initial value of I is 1. Then we say termination condition is I less than 6. Uh, uh, Print or execute statements within the body of the for loop until and unless this condition becomes false, and then we increment I by 1 increment. Okay, and here we print value of I. Okay, so here we have 3 steps of for loop. The first step of the for loop is initialization, and it is only once, which means that the initialization part of for loop only execute once. We initialized it over here, and when this loop starts, this will execute only once. The second step is condition in for loop, this condition, and this condition is evaluated on each iteration. If the condition is true, then the statements inside body of for loop, this is body of for loop within curly braces. If this condition is true, loop body gets executed. Once the condition returns false, the statements in for loop does not execute, and the control gets transferred to the next statement in the program after this for loop. And after this for loop, we print another statement, and that is after loop. And third and final step is after every execution of for loops body, after execution of this loop body, the increment or decrement part of the for loop executes, that updates the loop counter, and that is this one. Okay, so let's compile our code. And run your JavaScript file, and here we have 1 to 5 as a output, and after this output we have after for loop statement. So that's it for today. In next tutorial we will see some other concepts of TypeScript. Thank you so much.